And finally, before we get to your questions, we have some news to announce.
WNBA Finals format will change to a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
And the format will be 2-2-1-1-1.
During the playoffs, the WNBA just revealed a huge surprise. And the Caitlin Clark effect is to blame for everything. You know what? The regulations are being drastically altered for 2026. Here's the actual query, though. Is it too late or too little? Will things actually change? Ratings were in the dirt and venues were half empty after Clark's playoff exit. The league is now frantically trying to put things back together. But can these new regulations actually make things right? Let's discuss Clark's influence. She rewrote the game rather than merely playing it. 62 records were broken. Arenas were jam-packed. TV ratings were through the roof. Clark and the Fever turned into a nightly highlight reel, and fans were obsessed. Here's the truth, though. Everything fell apart as soon as Clark left. In several games, ratings have dropped by as much as 80%. Suddenly, arenas appear to be deserted villages. To make it seem good on live TV, areas of the crowd are tarped off. Sincerely, are you even shocked? This league was being carried by Clark. She is now playing golf. Will the WNBA be able to continue without its golden goose? It looks rather dismal right now. So these new regulations had better be good. Please remember to subscribe to the channel before we break it down. Are you prepared? Come on. Here's the big shock, though. These new regulations are more than minor adjustments. We're discussing a comprehensive reform that might make or break the league. Will it be sufficient to close the Caitlin-sized gap in their ratings, or will the league continue to become irrelevant? Let's dissect these desperate actions. First, with the addition of the Golden State Valkyries in 2026, the regular season will now consist of 44 games instead of just 40. Yes, for more opportunities to watch your preferred team. But hold on, there's more. A makeover is also being applied to the finals. We're switching from a best-of-5 to a best-of-7 series because the league obviously believes that more games equate to more spectators and revenue. And here's the thing. They're appending the first round of the playoffs. The format will change to 11-11, guaranteeing one home game for the lower seed.
Getting to go to multiple arenas so that people that are watching at home can see this environment in a multitude of cities. It's amazing. I love it. The growth continues.
Do you recall the Fever Sun series? Due to the controversies surrounding Games 1 and 2, the Indiana Fever were never able to return to Gamebridge and play for their fans. They must have finally realized that lower seeds had to perform for their home audience as well. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is now attempting to convince us that these modifications will save the league. She simply says, it's a constant balancing of the schedule. Yes, exactly. It's more like a never-ending struggle to stay afloat without your best player. But for a moment, let's be honest. Do these modifications truly meet the needs of the fans? More games may seem fantastic on paper, but what about the things that really count, like player safety and impartial officiating, completely disregarded by Engelbert? It's as if they're painting a dilapidated house and calling it restored. Please refrain from insulting the fans. They witnessed what Clark had to offer, not just incredible abilities, but an entirely new way of playing. Team basketball is fast-paced, happy, and thrilling. No logo threes, no-look passes, and teammates genuinely playing together. Now, everything are back to normal, albeit with a longer season. Consider it. Suddenly, half the arena is vacant after Clark leaves the playoffs. TV ratings plummet more quickly than the Chicago SkyTrain accident. Giving us more of something we're already not watching is the WNBA's smart solution. Make sense of it. You have to question whether anyone in the league office is paying attention to what the fans have to say, because this is what they're saying. The style of basketball that Clark played is what we want. Fair play is what we seek. On the court, we want to see our favorite players safeguarded. However, we get more games rather than solving those fundamental problems. Let's take a moment to discuss those ratings. Clark's playoff games drew 2 to 3 million viewers, while her regular games drew over 1 million. You're lucky if you make $500,000 without her. It's not a dip, it's a free fall. Extra playoff games won't make up for that kind of ratings catastrophe. What is the ultimate goal in this situation? Are they expecting that by the time the 2026 season arrives, supporters will be ecstatic about a few more regular season games and have forgotten about the underlying problems plaguing the league? Or perhaps they are hoping that the rivalry story will eventually take off. Because keep in mind that there are multiple players in Cathy Engelbert's realm. The worst part is this. It's possible that these adjustments will backfire. Dar will see more wear and tear if he plays more games. More injuries could result from longer playoff series. Additionally, those extra games are merely more chances for fans to become irate and tune out if the refereeing doesn't become better. The league seems to be living in denial. With Clark, they had lightning in a bottle. And they're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic rather than trying to figure out how to replicate that enchantment. More subpar basketball is not what fans are demanding. They are looking for thrills. Fair play is what they desire. They want to see the success of their favorite athletes. Look, I understand. It's difficult to change. However, adding a few more games and calling it progress won't do. The WNBA needs to look in the mirror for a long time and ask themselves, are these changes really addressing what fans want? Or are they just a desperate attempt to milk the Caitlin Clark effect? Remember to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications if you've made it this far and are enjoying the video. We understand that watching this video requires some time, and we are grateful for it. Let's get back to the action. The elephant in the room is being ignored as everyone talks about changing the rules. What if I told you that Caitlin Clark alone rewrote the WNBA's playbook in American living rooms and boardrooms in addition to on the court? Since numbers don't lie, let's talk about them. In WNBA history, Clark's rookie jersey became the best-selling one. For a league that is in dire need of star power, that is more than simply a victory, but it's much more than just merchandise. Over 54 million people watched all of her games in 2024. It's not a typo. 54 million. How recently did that occur? This is where things become serious, though. The average number of people watching nationally televised games with Clark on the court was a cool one. 2 million. It falls to 440,000 without her. That's a nosedive, not a dip. It's not just television, either. Over 1.5 million people attended games during Clark's season, shattering the WNBA's attendance record. People were packing arenas, not simply observing. You may be thinking, okay, but it's just one player. Right, but you're mistaken. Clark was more than a mere participant. She was a turning point in culture. She turned women's basketball into a must-watch program. She sparked conversations about the WNBA on social media and at water coolers. When was the last time you witnessed such a buzz in the league? Why, then, are fans no longer paying attention? It's not all about Clark. It has to do with what she stood for. Basketball that is fast-paced, high-scoring, and exciting. People want to witness that. We seem to be returning to the typical snooze fest at this point. There's more to it, though. In addition to missing Clark's game, fans are tired of the league's fundamental problems. Fair officiating, humor, and player safety. Avoid making me chuckle. Do you recall the eye poke incident? What about that dull ceremony for Rookie of the Year? These are more than just bumps in the road. These are signs of a league that has become disconnected from what players and fans genuinely desire. That's what it means to be a consumer. You are free to buy anything you desire. And for a moment, let's discuss management. Short-term profits appear to be more important to Cathy Engelbert and her team than creating a long-term, competitive league. They hit gold with Clark, but they rode the Clark wave until it crashed rather than leveraging that energy to improve the league as a whole. With these new regulations, they are now left scurrying to fix the holes in a sinking ship. Do you believe that changing a few regulations will save the day, Engelbert and company? Let's discuss the elephant in the room, please. The topics that the WNBA wants you to avoid. These modifications to the rules are more than a band-aid solution. They are a smokescreen that conceals some major problems. Let's dissect it. First, player safety. Do you recall the playoff game where Clark was poked in the eye, despite how disgusting it appeared? No foul was called. That's not just poor officiating, it's really risky, and it's not a singular incident. During her debut season, Clark was the target of 17% of all egregious fouls in the league. That is crazy. The Jordan rules were back in effect after one player took so many hits, and nobody informed us of this. Well, at least she won Rookie of the Year, isn't that right? Incorrect. Imagine this. Clark is constantly smashing records, altering the current state of the game. How does the WNBA commemorate? While making a phone call in a gym, there was no fanfare or celebration commensurate with her momentous accomplishments. It seems as though they were unwilling to recognize the extent of her contributions to the league. This is the type of thing that raises questions. Does the WNBA give a damn about its stars? Or are they merely seeking easy headlines and quick wins? This cannot be made up. Ironically, fans don't think it's true. Not only is Clark's game being missed, they are tired of the league's main problem: player safety, impartial officiating, and honoring top players. Where are the press conferences about these matters? These aren't little bumps in the road. These are signs of a league that has become disconnected from what players and fans genuinely desire. And that won't be fixed by adding more games or making changes to the playoffs. What is the answer then? It's not as easy as altering a few regulations, though. The WNBA has to be completely redesigned. We are discussing everything from top to bottom, from the inside out. They must take player safety seriously by establishing clear rules and penalties for risky behavior. To guarantee equitable and uniform calls across the board, they must make investments in improved training for officials. You roll out the red carpet when a player like Clark breaks records and attracts millions of fans. You give it a lot of attention. You leverage that momentum to improve the league as a whole. So, people, here we are. With these additional regulations, more games, and lengthier playoffs, the WNBA is frantically attempting to close the Clark-sized gap in their league. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Let's be honest, though. Will a few more games solve the true problem? We are discussing a league that is unable to appropriately recognize its greatest talent, maintain the safety of its stars, and administer fair officiating. And now that Clark is gone, venues are as empty as a politician's promises, and ratings are plummeting. This is the crucial question. Is it too late or too little? Or were these modifications the proper ones in the first place? Because it appears from where I am sitting that the WNBA is attempting to use a water pistol to put out a forest fire. Will the league take note of the Caitlin Clark effect? Or are we witnessing the decline of women's professional basketball? What are your thoughts? Tell us in the comments. To ensure you never miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications after you click the video on the screen. We'll see you in the next.